Hi, welcome to Talk and Concept YouTube channel. I am Rahul, your host for today's. I am IT professional, blogger, and a research scholar. This is a web API tutorial series, and this video is part 2 of the series. In this video, we will see how to create an MVC and a web API application. Okay. So let's set the context. In last video, you saw the basic introduction about MVC and web API applications, like what is MVC and what is web API, basic things about all these things. So in last video, you learn about all those things. So this is basically a practical session, okay, where we will create an MVC application, then we will create a web API application, and after that we will consume our web API into MVC application. As you know that MVC is very popular because of its architecture, model view and controller that we have discussed in last videos, and web API follow same architecture. So web API also follow MVC architecture, and you will see similar things what you do in MVC, same way you do in web API also. So you have controllers, you have routing, then you have configurations, then you have action results, then you have filters, and blah blah. So if you are familiar with MVC application, you can easily create your web API application. So this web API works on HTTP protocol that we have already discussed in last video, and you can return data in XML or JSON format. You can set what you want to return in your configuration file. By default, your web API return XML format, but you can also set its default behavior to return data in JSON format. So in this video, we will not see this, but you will see other things. So let's begin. Okay. So let's open Visual Studio, okay, and let's create an application. We are taking ASP.NET Web Application here. So in this video, we are going to create MVC plus Web API application. So let me set the solution name, demo MVC Web API app. Now set the project name. This is Web API layer. Okay, just create it and select here as empty. Okay, remove the configure for HTTPS and select the Web API part, and let's create a project. It will create a Web API project, but the project is empty. It has just taken the references of Web API, so it has set the environment, but it doesn't have any controller and all things. Let's scratch it. Okay, now you can see, let me create one more project. First of all, we will create all the required project here. So new project, again web application, then next let's create MVC application. Okay, MVC presentation layer. Take the template MVC, uncheck it, and uncheck config for HTTPS as well. Create the application. So this will create a default MVC application with having default template. Okay, wait, API. Then here we have, you can see default templates are there. Okay, now let's create one more project that is for model layer. It will be a class library. Okay, next, and just name this as model layer. Okay, this is a simple project and we will only use this project for model. Okay, we have just created this project because we will use same model in Web API as well as in MVC. So let's call it employee.cs and just create employee class. So just to save time, I have already written code, so I will put the code here and I will explain what it is. So here you can see I have added 4 properties. Okay, ID, name, contact name, and contact number and address. Okay, now let's add the reference of this project in both the other projects. Okay, so here you can see we have added reference. Okay, now let's do same in your MVC application as well. Add the reference of this layer, model layer. Okay, so here is this. Yes, you can see model layer here. Okay, now I think we have created 3 projects. I mean, we have created a structure and now it's time to add functionality. Okay, so let's add a controller in Web API. Okay, so new item and Web API controller. Here it is. Now let's name it to employee controller. Okay, and just add it. So by default it will add a few methods. So here you can see employee controller has been created. Okay, which inherits from API controller. So this is different from your MVC controller. Okay, because it inherits from API controller. Also you can see here many predefined methods for get, post, put, delete and all things. So what we are going to do, we will delete all these methods, and in this project we are only going to demo get verb. Okay, so we will delete this and we will add our code for get. We will add 2 methods. Okay, one will add employee, all employee, and another will add employee with ID. So let's add the reference here. Okay, so now you can see here that we have added 2 methods. One is for get and one is for get, and inside it we have parameter int ID. Okay, so let's first run it. Okay, and then we will see like how it is working. I mean, we will explain these methods in some time later. So first time it will take some time. So now you can see here the localhost 49680 port. Okay, so Web API is loading. So we will change the port as well. We will show how you can have a custom port. So now let's write API, then employee, and here you can see the data. This data is in XML format. You can change this data in JSON format as well, but here we are not changing it. Okay, so here you can see the data. We have 2 data, 2 rows. One is Rahul, another is for John. Okay, and here is the method. Okay, you need not to write method name like get and all things. It will only pick it from your controller name. So here you can see get, okay, and we are passing the value id is equal to 1, so it got the data for Rahul. Okay, now let me explain like how it is doing. So this is a controller which is inheriting from API controller. We created a list, okay, and inside your constructor I've just added 2 rows in your list. Okay, so this list is of employee type, so we are just adding 2 rows like name, contact, address, id. Okay, and here you can see here your employee class has 4 properties, and we set the data in all 4 properties here. Okay, this is just for demo purpose. Okay, and inside get method I am just returning an IEnable of employee. Okay, and you can call this method, you can call this method using API/employee, and here API/employee/ let's say 1. Okay, so we will pass the id, okay, that is of int type. So we are just passing the id in and it will fetch the data. So basically we created 2 methods here. We added a sample data. Okay, now let's change the port. Okay, you saw that initially it was in port this one. Now I'm just change the port, save it. Yes, okay, it is asking to create a virtual directory. Okay, it is saying that localhost specified for web project has not been configured, and to keep these settings you need to configure the virtual directory. Would you like to create directory? Yes. Okay, these are basic settings that because we are going to use this API in MVC application, so that's why I just customize it. Okay, now you will see that your API is loading on port 9111 that we just configured a few time back. Okay, now let me show you this. Okay, that data is coming employee. Okay, here we have data. Okay, now it is calling this method and we are passing id 1. Okay, just let's remove this and type 2. So you can see that data is loaded again for John. Okay, here is John data with id 2. So I think this method is working properly. Okay, so now let me call all the data employee. Yeah, here you can see all the data. It has called get method with no parameters. Yes, this method it has called. Okay, so it is returning the data. Let's stop it and close this, and let's move to MVC application. Okay, now it's time to consume the web API we created so far. Let's delete these methods. We did not these methods. Okay, so that's why we deleted it. So here also, to save time, I have written my code, so I will just copy paste here. Okay, so here you can see I have copy paste. So let's first add the references, then I will explain how it is working. Let me add the references here. Okay, now HTTPClient, so it should come from system.net. Okay, system.net.http. Now task, so it should come from system.threading. Okay, system.threading tasks. Okay, now I think our references has been resolved. Okay, I think we are good for next step. Okay, so we will explain one by one. So let's edit. Okay, we will first explain get employee. Okay, and after that we will use other one. So here you can see that get employee method that returns enumerable. Let me write here. Okay, it will call web API created and returns employee object, not object, employee data. Okay, so here is the API URL. Okay, and we write it this port 911 has been configured in web API. Okay, so now you can see that it is calling this web API from HTTP client. There are various ways to call web API, but here we have used HTTP client. Okay, so we are passing the URL and just we are creating our own URI. Then it returns HTTP response message. Okay, web API returns around four types. I mean, it can return four things. So we are using here HTTP response message. So we are using get async method of HTTP client. Okay, so it will be a task. So result. So you can see here that it is returning HTTP response message, that is a task. Okay, now if you are checking for is success status code. Okay, so it will check if the HTTP response is successful or not. Okay, so we can also handle it here. So now we are taking a task string, because you'll see that return the result content. It is returning here the content, and if you'll see it return get or set the content of HTTP response message, and read as string async method, it will return our table task that is of string type. So that's why we took task as string of string type. So basically what it do, it serialize the HTTP content and will show here. Okay, now we have employee, we are using JSON converter and we are just deserialize it. Okay, so JSON convert, basically this comes in newtonsoft.json namespace, and it has value to just deserialize the JSON. I mean, it is used to serialize and deserialize, so we are just deserializing JSON object. Okay, so we will deserialize it into enumerable of employee type, because this is the result we want. So we have just deserialized this. Okay, and response dot result. So basically this is a task. Okay, and so you can see here our table task, and so here result. Let me show you the result. Okay, so this is, now it will return string. Okay, so now we have converted this string into enumerable employee part, and we are just calling this get employee into index method. So this is simple coding. Okay, we have just used HTTP client and we just call the URI, and we are calling this converted data when we have just deserialized data. And so here you can see we have index .html. Let's remove it and we remove this as well and add our code. Okay, now you can see here we are just getting model in enumerable of employee type, and we have viewback.title. Let's rename it to employees list. So page, no, not page, employee list. Okay, we created a header. We just want to create a table type structure, so we have just created a header. Now here in for each loop we are just taking employee from model. Okay, you know that model is coming from here, that is of enumerable of employee type. So we are just iterating this model here, and we will show the data which is there in model. Okay, so here you can see it, that this is a view dictionary object and all thing. Here it is there. Now this model has 4 properties that we saw earlier in employee class. Okay, contact and address, these 4 property we bind there. Okay, and same you can see here is the employee. Okay, so this is the data which we are going to show in this space. Okay, this data is coming from Web API, and let me here is the data you can see here. Okay, and let me set the property to multiple project. Okay, because if you set a single project and if you run only your MVC application, and if Web API application is not running, it will not going to work, it will not going to retrieve the data. So that's why we need to run in multiple projects. You can I have also written an article in my .NET Concept website, and there you can see all the steps how to create a multiple projects. I have also created a video for that. Now let's wait to load the page. Okay, here you can see that page has been loaded, and all the 4 header items with the data. Okay, let me reformat it. Data is div is not correct, I guess. For each loop, where I'm missing. Okay, it's div ID name, then for contact, for address, I think let me add one more div here. Okay, I'm just doing it for temporary, just for demo purpose. You can restructure your view page later as well, as per your requirement, but I am just doing it for demo purpose here. Okay, okay, I think I am done, and here you can see that page is modified. Okay, so it carries all the data here. Okay, both the data it is showing. Okay, now let me show this data. Okay, for that we have another method. Okay, for that we have another method that we are going to show here. This one, employ. Okay, so same thing we have done in this method as well. It has all the same steps what we had in previous method, get employee. So everything is there, result, content, then it will call read string as a sync. Okay, then it will converting it, so deserializing the data. Okay, so it has all the same steps what we explained, what we see in previous method. Okay, nothing more. The only thing is that we are just adding additional parameter. So here you can see we have created one more action. Okay, for get. Okay, now I will call like home.get and I will pass the ID. So it will just get the employee by ID, which has been mentioned here, and the parameter ID is coming from request. Okay, so for some time, because I am using same view, so I have just created a list and added one row of employee. Okay, and we are just passing it. I've just done it just to reuse the view, because this view is using enumerable of employee type, so that's why I just created a list there. Okay, nothing special. You can change it as per your requirement. Now let me show here, and let me add get and ID 1, so it should show this data. Okay, so now you can see that you have data for Rahul, this one. Okay, with ID 1. Okay, now let's change the ID to 2, so you should see the data of John. Let me show you here as well, 2 and John. Here you can see the data of John is there. So this is just fetching the data from Web API. Okay, and I think I'm done at this point. So you can see that data is coming from here. You have method get, you have another method for get having ID as parameter. Both we have created both method in our MVC. And okay, so I think I am done, pretty much done, and let's close it. So I think in this video we'll learn like how to create an MVC application and how to create an Web API application, and also how to just consume it. Okay, thank you. Hi, thank you for watching our video. Hope you like this. If you like it, so please like and share the video on your social network, and if you have not subscribed our channel, so please subscribe the channel as well. You will get more videos in coming days. You can also connect with us using a .NET Concept site. There you can find many articles and videos, and you can also connect with us on Facebook page and on Twitter handle. Thank you.